Welcome to the 40 Finance channel, everybody. My name's Jeff Beers. Today I'm going to be digging into TJX stock, better known as the TJX Companies, which is home to such brands as TJ Maxx, Marshalls, HomeGoods. These are all discount retailers that are very popular across many generations of shoppers. They're sort of the anti-e-commerce model, anti-mall model, just a different take on fashion and home retailing. I am a stockholder of TJX, so I'm very excited to do this video here today. And just a reminder, all of my stock picks and analysis are for entertainment purposes only. As always, you should talk to a financial professional before taking on any of the risks with investing in the stock market. That being said, if you love stock analysis, investment ideas, personal finance videos like I do, then please subscribe to the 40 Finance channel. Thank you to everybody who has subscribed so far. Alright, so the first thing, I don't typically get too far into retail stocks. I'm not a big fan of traditional retail, but there is definitely a category that continues to do well with the U.S. consumer, and that is discount-themed stores. So if you look at the broad retail landscape, I think we all know that malls are closing. Stores within the malls like Macy's and Nordstrom, those sort of flagship models, those are struggling under the weight of changing consumer behavior. But on the flip side, the best performers, you got your Walmarts and your Targets and your Costco's, big box kind of discount themed stores where you can get everything for your house. But on the specialty side, it's things like Dollar General, Five Below, TJ Maxx, Marshalls, HomeGoods, people who have really just sort of carved out this special niche of discount, and they make it fun for folks to go in, that sort of bargain hunting mode. When you think about Dollar General, Five Below, even TJ Maxx and Marshalls, the secret formula to those stores is having good inventory and sort of that surprise and delight for their customers. So no one knows exactly what they're going to get when they walk in. There's some sort of core expectation, but it's what they'll find that drives the traffic. And obviously you play games with store locations and high traffic areas, but it's this whole, the secret sauce is really merchandising and buying the right products so that when people come in for a core play, let's just say socks for TJ Maxx, they're going to find discounted shirts and dresses and shoes and purses and whatever that add to the bottom line of the receipts. So that's the magic formula. It's working very well, not only for TJ Maxx, but the other entire category of retail that's working, and it's that combination that excites me. I also shop there. My wife shops there quite a bit. So I have a vested interest in TJ Maxx performing well, so to speak. But there's a reason why I chose to invest in this stock. And that kind of secret merchandising formula and retail concept is the reason that I like this model. Now, one of the things that's interesting about TJ Maxx, as you look at the company as a whole, it is growing. So there's not too many retail entities that are growing. Most of the ones that are the ones that I just mentioned. Your Five Below, Dollar General, Target, Walmart, Costco. That's where the growth is in retail, and everything else I'm kind of meh on. But just to give you a concept of how TJX is growing, I put up this recap of their store count from the end of their fiscal 2019, which was actually February. So you see I highlighted at the top, during the fiscal year 2020, the company increased its store count by 223 stores to a total of 4,529. Square footage increased by 4%. And I highlighted in the U.S., which is where I live, what that growth consisted of. TJ Maxx brand went from $12.52 to $12.73. Marshalls grew a little bit faster at $10.91 to $11.30. Then you got HomeGoods adding, roughly 70 units there. TJX Companies also features a couple brands that I personally have not been into those stores, Sierra and HomeSense. And then in Canada, they have this brand Winners. And Europe, they have TK Maxx. Australia has TK Maxx. Never been to those stores, but I assume that they're all fairly similar to the TJ Maxx model that we see here in the United States. It's important to call out that Sierra brand and HomeSense, you got 46 and 32 stores there. No real measurable impact on the stock performance, I think, from those two brands. And then looking at the international exposure, Canada, you've got about 600 stores in Canada, roughly 650, 675 in Europe. Australia has 50. So TJX is spreading the wealth a little bit internationally, and that is, of course, exciting, not only from a growth play, but it just makes sense, right, that they would go international. Retail is always going to be limited a little bit by real estate and demographic penetration. But if they're seeing these models work in Australia and Europe, that bodes pretty well for the future. All right, let's take a look at the TJX stock fundamentals. Important to call out that today is April 15th, roughly, and the stock market is obviously in the midst of the health concerns that we have going on now. It's been on a short little bull run after a massive dip, so these stock numbers, depending on when you're watching the video, could be drastically different. TJX stock price today at $48.29. P ratio of 1809. I'm not including the forward PE anymore during this crisis time because frankly these numbers really are useless. A lot of companies have pulled their guidance. TJX is a store where you have nothing is open. Literally all stores are closed. All e-commerce operations are closed right now during the health scare. You see, I added some notes at the top. Cash on hand is $3.2 billion. Their current debt level is $11.4 billion. They recently drew $1 billion from their credit in order to help just cope with this time of store closures. And the last update I saw, which I think was from RBC Capital, TJX has 21 weeks worth of operations without revenue that they can survive without massive repercussions to the company. So they can survive 21 weeks without any revenue, which is great because that's what's going on right now. I'm just going to do some rough math and figure the stuff started closing in and around March 25th. So we're not quite through 4 weeks yet. So it looks like TJX has plenty of money to survive this. Obviously, though, you would want things to open much more quickly because no one wants to go to the extreme case. And one last note as a bonus, TJX does have a dividend, 1.91%. And so far, I have not seen any dividend warnings for TJX. They have furloughed, I think, all of their workers at the store level, and they have asked for executive pay cuts. But I have not seen a notification, at least in my inbox, that the dividend has been cut. Obviously, things can change quickly, so double check and don't just take my word for it. All right, digging into some of the valuation metrics, what we're trying to do here is figure out what is today's stock price in relation to the valuation of TJX in the past. Some of these valuation metrics can really get skewed because they're based on future earnings or expected earnings everyone's future and expected earnings have obviously changed massively. So, you know, take them with a grain of salt and do your own research. This chart goes back several quarters, back to 10/31/18. You see I highlighted the PE column. Back in 2018, we were at a 23.53 PE. If you look at probably the last reasonable measure, we were at 23.24. So the price of TJX over the past, give or take, 6 quarters before the stock market crashed, was relatively flat. So, you know, you weren't, I should say, paying a premium for TJX outside of the last 6 quarters as late as 131.20. Current PE, at least estimated, 17.92. So no surprise, the stock was trading near a $70. So regardless what you think of forward earnings, you know, this stock had a 52-week high of $65. We're currently, you know, in the mid 40s. So definitely getting a discount here, but obviously stores are closed, right? So you have to take that into consideration. Price to book value, if we go back several quarters, 1301 back in 1031. Today we're down to 963. So if you believe that all assets have held their valuation, then you are definitely getting a discount compared to previous buy opportunities with TJX. All right, so obviously as an owner of TJX stock, I feel pretty good about it for the long term. I'm in it for the long term and have no intentions to sell this year or next year or likely the year after. In fact, I'm just adding to my positions, but that's my opinion. I did try to dig up some third-party opinions for you. Argus Research, you know, world-renowned stock research firm, pulled out a couple highlights from a recent report that they did specifically on TJX. And if I remember correctly, this report came out on 3/31, so it's not some sort of ancient report. The news is relatively fresh, and just calling out a couple of their bullet points there at the top. They've got a buy rating on TJX, and how they look at it: we expect TJX to recover and benefit as it acquires great merchandise from currently overstocked retailers and vendors, but there will be pain until the stores reopen. With the stores closed and the dividend on hold, which they're saying dividends on hold, I haven't seen that yet, but just know that that's a possibility. The shares are a riskier proposition than Walmart, which is open for business and hiring aggressively. We are reducing our financial strength rating for TJ Maxx to medium from medium high. Okay, so great points there by Argus. Nothing really super surprising for me as a stockholder. The first one, though, is exciting. And if you think about the fact that a lot of retail stores are going to close locations and possibly entire brands, TJX, from a merchandising standpoint, they have the opportunity to go rampant on closed liquidations, seasonal liquidations. That's exactly their wheelhouse. So if you, I'll just make up an example here. If you had something like a Michael Kors ski jacket line from 2019, typically a retailer would try to do a lot of their clearance sales for winter in May and April, just to get rid of stuff. The world was a different place this March and April, so a lot of that inventory didn't get pushed through. TJX can then acquire it for pennies on the dollar, and assuming they have the storage capacity, they can basically buy everything for next winter, because if you're a TJX shopper, you don't really care if this is a 2020 line or a 2018 line. So then TJX is making, great investments on inventory, which, assuming the world gets back to somewhat normalcy, they are then selling for a nice markup that is still a discount for the consumer. And then on the last point there, which is 100% valid, you know, Argus is like, hey, if you're investing in TJX or you're trying to start a position, FYI, stores are closed. Walmart is hiring hundreds of thousands of people. I imagine Target's in the same. We know what Amazon's doing. So just know that Argus isn't saying TJX is the greatest retail play right now. They say very intriguing. They're giving it a buy, but you should look around at the other options that you have as an investor. Choose the one that matches your preferences best. All right, looking at the TipRanks dashboard from the best performing analysts, like I always do. Just as a call out, there is a promotion for TipRanks in the comments here. I am an affiliate, but I am also a paid member of TipRanks and have used it for a long time. Take a look. It's a great stock research tool. It is a paid tool, but there's an opportunity for you to sign up in the comments below. As far as TJX goes on the TipRanks dashboard, you have 8 buys, no holds, no sells. So a very strong consensus report from the best performing analysts. I looked through the logs and most of these buy ratings have come in over the past 13 to 15 days. So they are fresh, they are relevant to the current health concerns. And median price today is at $66.50, which is about a 33% upside from where we are today. On the high side, one analyst comes in at $75 and the low bar is at $56. So even at the low bar, if you can pull this off on the next dip, you should be able to make some money. I would just caution that TJX money is going to be best for the long term if you are going to be an investor. All right, so a couple points here as a bottom line to my TJX stock analysis. Number one, TJX is one of the few retail stocks worth investing in my opinion. We know what's going on in retail. I don't need to discuss it. But if you're into fashion plus retail, and that's the kind of segment you're interested in, TJX, man, that's about it. I'll throw in a couple others like Lululemon maybe, but the old days of Macy's, Sears, all that crap is gone. So make sure that you're investing in companies that are still growing. Number two, we've covered extensively, which is FYI, stores are closed. TJX, they didn't have a big e-commerce presence from the beginning because there's a lot of rules on advertising brand names at a discount online. So they not really high on their list of priorities, e-com, they shut that down too. So nobody is working, and just recognize that no revenue is coming in if you're going to jump into a stock like this. On the bright side, we know that their merchandisers and inventory planners are going to have an absolute field day when the smoke clears from the current crisis. We don't know how long that's going to take, but I'll tell you what we do know is there's going to be a glut of inventory for discount stores like TJX to jump on. It may take a year to 18 months to earn returns on the cheap inventory that they purchase, but there's a great opportunity here to surprise and delight their customers in the long run. All right, number four, just if you are interested in investing in TJX, you should take the view that I have, which is long term. I'm a buyer, not a seller, certainly for the extended future, right? So that's how you're going to make money with TJX, and that is its reliability and its dividend. It's still growing. It's a great play into retail, but I don't really see this like a technology play where you can jump in for 6 months and jump out for 6 months. That's not really the way to play this. It's more of a tortoise, right? The slow and steady wins the race. And lastly, at least for me, my target price is under $45 in this current health situation that we're in. I'm looking for all dips under $45 at least until the stores reopen. That to me is a great way to get in. It's not bargain basement price, but if you look historically at TJX stock price, if you can get in under 45 and promise yourself that you'll hold probably at least 3 years, you'll you'll do really well with a stock like this, in my opinion. All right, guys, there you have it. TJX stock analysis. Hope you enjoyed this. Thank you for watching. Please give me a like and subscribe if you enjoy stock market analysis. I'll see you on the next video.